Hello everybody, this is John Hopkins with Baltimore Heritage, and we're back with another of our 5-minute Histories videos. And today we're going to talk about the Waverly Town Hall, which is behind me. And I have to start with a little bit of an apology. I have learned that here on 31st Street and Greenmount Avenue, there is no such place as a quiet place, even at 6:30 in the morning. So please bear with me here with a little bit of background noise. Have to also start by saying thank you. If you're tuning in kind of live time, you'll know that our last video was just before Thanksgiving, and we suggested that people sparkle it up by bringing out their silver and using it for their Thanksgiving dinner, and ask people to send in pictures if they did, and a number of you did. So thank you. Maybe we'll share a few here and put some at the end if you want to see what Stieff silver looks like or Kirk silver on a dining room table. All right, on to Waverly Town Hall. It was built in 1873. And wasn't annexed into the city until 1888. But we are going to start our story 200 years before that, in 1688. That's when Lord Baltimore gave out 2 land grants. One to a gentleman named Charles Merriman. His was called Merriman's Lot. And if you've ever been to the Saturday Farmers Market, the Waverly Farmers Market on Saturday morning, you undoubtedly will have walked that crazy little diagonal street between Greenmount and 33rd. That's Merriman's Lane. That's where we get that. The other land grant was to a gentleman named Tobias Stanberry, and that was called Huntington. And in fact, this area became known as Huntington. As for street names, we still have a Huntington, Huntington Avenue over in Remington. So for the next 100 years, between the 1680s and the 1780s, the parcels changed hands among wealthy Baltimore families. The Ridgeleys owned them for a while. If you know Ridgely's Delight down by the stadium, that neighborhood, or Hampton Mansion up in Towson. That's their same Ridgely family. But by the 1780s, things had started to change. Parcels were being leased off to other Baltimore families who wanted to escape the summer heat and noise and smells that Baltimore City had during its warmer months. And a number of families started moving up here. In fact, so many that by the early 1800s, say 1820 or so, there were enough folks living here that they thought they could use a post office. And when they went to the post office folks to petition for a new post office here, the post office folks at the United States Post Office said, well, we agree, you've got enough, but you can't use the name Huntington. There are too many Huntingtons in Maryland already, and it's a terrible confusion, so come back with something else. And they went back, and they sort of met, and a gentleman named Henry Tyson apparently was a fan of the new Walter Scott novels that were all the rage in America at the time. And Scott's first novel was named Waverly. So Tyson proposes this. Nobody has a better idea. And back to the post office they go with the new town of Waverly. They get a post office, and now we have a village of Waverly. Incidentally, for the first number of years, Waverly here was spelled like the novel, L-E-Y, ending in L-E-Y. Somewhere over time, they dropped the E, so now Waverly ends in just L-Y, but it's still for the same Walter Scott novel. So things are going well here. But by after the Civil War, the years following the Civil War, growth takes off. For example, between 1880 and 1890, those 10 years saw 4 times the number of houses built as the preceding 50 years combined. So tremendous growth. And in 1873, we've got the town hall behind us at the front end of that growth. The town hall, despite its name, was a private building. It was owned by a number of owners, and it saw any number of uses, political and social. For example, in 1884, the Republican Party had a convention here. The 2nd Republican District had its annual convention in August. And then a few months later, in December, the Democratic Party had its annual Jubilee here. So well used on both sides of the aisle. The town hall also was the center for a debate over what to do with York Road. York Road had been a turnpike for the last 100 years or more, and it had been seeing an incredible increase in use. Its normal mud and ruts were too much. So the debate was what to do with York Road, how to pave it, whether to pave it in Belgian block, like some places downtown, or the new macadam style, which is what the voters voted for here. So we have a paved York Road now. In 1888, the good folks here in Waverly used the town hall to debate whether to become annexed to Baltimore City. There were a number of communities having that same debate in what was called the Belt, and the answer was not a foregone conclusion. In 1888, the voters voted yes to join, but just about 10 or 12 years before, they had voted no. So what had changed in the intervening 10 or 12 years? Well, one thing is that Waverly and the other communities in the belt had grown tremendously, and they needed services that Baltimore County would not provide, but Baltimore City would, like a sewer system. The second is a number of families, so maybe that was one thing. Maybe another thing was that a number of families had moved into the area, prominent families like A.S. Abel, the owner of the Baltimore Sun, and the Hone family of Hone Lithograph. I think we did a video on that. And the Baltimore City School Commissioner lived near here. So with the owner of the prominent Baltimore Sun and some of the biggest employers in the city and the school commissioner all living here and all voting and advocating for annexation. Annexation passes in 1888, and Waverly becomes part of Baltimore City. The town hall is used not just for politics. Hopkins professors give lectures here. Lots of parties and dances and balls are held here. Social clubs like the Golden Order of Eagles, which I don't know what it is, used it, as did the Masonic Lodge. There's a Masonic Lodge based here. And for the next 100 years or more, it was really at the center of social life for Waverly. In fact, in 1973, the Maryland State Senate gave it an award, a commendation for 100 years of being at the center of Waverly town life. Today, if you're like me, you'll probably have driven by or walked by dozens and dozens of times and not really realized or even looked up to see that there is a wonderful historic building behind these storefronts that look pretty much like all the other storefronts along Greenmount. But I am pleased to say, and we'll wrap up with this, that this building is listed on the city's historic landmark list. And in fact, Greenmount Avenue just got listed on the National Register of Historic Places. So we are squarely in the middle of historic Baltimore. And just about a month ago, the city's Historic Preservation Commission, CHAP, which by the way wrote a wonderful report when this building was listed as a landmark, where I got a bunch of the information today. But the city's Preservation Commission just approved a plan to restore the exterior of the building, stripping off the vinyl siding and the security grates and the storefronts and returning it back to its 1873 glory. So I'll encourage you to come down today, take a look at this building before the work starts, maybe give it a few months and then come back a little later and hopefully we'll all see a wonderful restoration. And with that, I'll say thanks and we'll see you next time.